Well, hello everyone. This is Kevin Shaw. I'll stop sharing for a second here. Last recording, I didn't even press the share button, so I was just showing nothing that you could see. So this is organization, and this is an exciting feature that you're going to want to find out about and get on board with because this is really the future. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and share again. Um, all right, so we're going to start with our slideshow here. And this is called the Deep Life and Work, which is the organization pillar. If you know anything about my 12-week online group tutoring for high school students for writing, you know that I have three pillars. And one of the foundational pillars, actually, the foundational pillar is organization. Now, I've learned this from Douglas Reeves, who's a national expert in education, has written many books. And he told me about Cal Newport, and he told me that organization was the one factor that students are missing because I was asking him very bluntly, what are students missing? And so Cal Newport wrote a book called Deep Work. He also talks about what structures can support deep work. So I want to answer the question, why deep work? What does it have to do with your student, their motivation, their frustration, your frustration as a parent, um, with not knowing what is that magic sauce? What is that secret sauce in terms of being able to crystallize for your student how they can actually determine what are their steps in life? What are their decisions for college? Not just the name of a college, but what kind of college and why? And um, their choice of extracurricular activities has everything to do with deep work, with organization. And let me illustrate this. When you know who you are, when you have your values down, you begin to become selective of those colleges out there rather than being at their mercy. And it's a whole lot funner to apply to colleges when you know your values and you become familiar with the values of each of these colleges you're looking at, because they're all slightly differently. If you look at UC Berkeley versus UC San Diego, and so on and so forth, they are different. And so this opens up a whole world for your student. And so, but I still haven't answered the question why deep work and what that is all about. Well, it's really simple. In today's economy, because of technology, because of AI, and because of just the way that the world is working, it's become ultra globalized. Information is shared so rapidly that if you think you have an advantage because you hired a coach for your teen for this or a writing tutor for that, really you're almost behind because everyone's doing that. So it begs the question, how can you differentiate your student so that they stand out in a crowd? Because otherwise you're going to play the impressiveness game and your student is on a treadmill in their high school life. Instead of enjoying high school, they have to figure out how on earth they're going to get a 4.5 GPA, how on earth they're going to get a 1600 on their SAT. And then they find out that 90% of students that have those high GPAs and test scores do not get into their choice colleges. So I got into UC Berkeley straight out of high school with a mediocre GPA and test scores, and I had a wonderful personal statement that told a story. Less is more. I was a musician. I was a performing musician in a church that had 7 different choirs. I was on an album. We served people. We ministered to people. And yeah, I was involved in a couple of clubs, but I didn't really spend a lot of time in my studies. And I got into the top public university at that time. They were number one. and my other dream schools as well. So, wouldn't you rather enjoy the journey? Wouldn't you rather sleep better as a parent at night? And so, I want to help you with that. Deep work is that kind of work that will allow your student to become either the best or to learn hard things very quickly. Those are the two advantages that your student needs if they're going to survive in the coming economy. They'll have their choice of colleges, their choice of careers, their choice of jobs if they are either the best or they learn hard things very quickly. How do they do that? Deep work, according to Cal Newport. All right. And by the way, to do deep work, you have to be able to gain traction in your work. The cell phone, the video games, constantly getting up is distraction. The opposite of that is not focus, it's traction, gaining traction. Okay. That's according to Nir Ayal. So the overview here for this first session and the ultimate goal here, or the ultimate time frame, currently sits at 8 weeks. And if your child joins us later than the time frame in which we're starting, that's okay too, because we'll just bring them up to speed. But typically, if you have enough time, you want to take your time. And this is how you can rejuvenate your child's life, support deep work. And we'll talk about layer 4 here, because that's where it's all going to make sense to you. Okay. Now, to get to this 4th layer, and I want to start there. The plan layer, or the planning layer, is where you create a life program for a new career, whether college life, career. I know I have that twice. I just wrote this today. A nonprofit or business. Okay. Now, a lot of businesses that start up, or students who engage with this college selection process and college application process, they're doing so without having the previous layers. And so what happens is they're going to go into college or their career or their trade school at a disadvantage. And let me explain. Likewise, businesses start, there are many startups and most of them fail. And I think that there are reasons for this in the previous layers. Okay, they're not aligned with their values, which is number 2. Number 3, they don't have control. They don't have a sense of calm when things go wrong. They're overworked. They're producing way too much cortisol, which is the stress hormone. And the rest is history, because they are getting sick. They are getting burnt out and going out of business, becoming humiliated, demoralized. Okay. You need to avoid that. The value layer is part of what you need to do. You need to write down your values. You need to become aligned with those values. You need to make sure that your actions, your time spent, is congruent with your values, whatever those are. Now, to sustain yourself and to have good habits, whether they're eating right, to sustain energy, whether they're getting to bed, waking up on time, all live in the discipline layer. And there are certain keystone habits that need to happen in this layer. So you build from the bottom up. You build the foundation at the discipline layer. And that's what today's session is a little bit about. Although today's session is more of an overview, I'm going to suggest 2 tools for you to help get you to the stage. All right. So discipline layer really sets the foundation for the value layer. And once that is established, you have the control layer that you build. And then now you are ready to battle the world. Okay. All right. There are two important links for you. The first is the full video. It's 1 hour and 17 minutes. It's a Cal Newport video. He has a podcast. You want to do screenshot this because you're not going to be able to press the link like I am. Obviously, you're watching this as a recording. Um, just ignore this first bullet point. The latter part of it is for a particular student that I was working with earlier today. Okay. What I want you to do is watch this video and do the other task, which I'll get to in a minute, before Saturday at 7:30 Eastern Pacific, 4:30 p.m. Pacific time. That is PM, okay? So 4:30 p.m. West Coast, 7:30 p.m. East Coast. You want to have this done. You want to watch the video and you want to do the calendar work, which I'm going to show you in a minute. So let's take a peek at this video, that is. All right. What you'll see here is actually how to reinvent your life in 4 months, step by step with Cal Newport. Okay. That's the first video you're going to watch in its entirety to give yourself a context. And I do suggest you do this with your parents. This, by the way, is my Google Classroom where I have all the materials for the students. This right here is a refresher video after you've watched it. So this is Cal Newport, and you'll notice the discipline layer, the value layer, the calm layer, or the control layer, and the planning layer or the planning stage. Okay, so that's it. This is the 20-minute video. It's taken from the 1 hour and 17-minute video. So please watch that. Second thing you'll want to do is we have to have a planner. If you don't measure it, it does not increase. And if you don't support it, meaning your dream, your goal, it won't happen, right? Because you have to put tangible steps down. What tangible steps? The time that you spend, right? And what you do in that time. Well, you don't know what that looks like until you know what it looks like. This right here is taken from calendarpedia.com. Now, you all need to get a hold of this. So you're going to find this. Again, go back to the slideshow, screenshot it if you need to, copy it, and then you'll find it here if you enter in all of this right here. Okay, just type it out. Now, first step is your student needs to be able to quantify how they spend each hour of each week or a typical week, right? So between the time you're watching this video and the next time you see me live or the next video, you want to complete this, right? Have your student complete it, help them if you need to. What I like about it is it potentially can capture every activity your student engages in. I want to see it all there. Okay. If they go to church or synagogue or temple, put that down. If they go out and play basketball every day from 5 to 6, put it down. If they eat dinner from 4:30 to 4:45, write it down, right? If they nap, if they daydream lying in their bed for 15 minutes, 10 p.m. to 10:30 or 10:15 p.m., put it in there in that hour slot. I know it's not broken down by every 15 minutes, but this is a nice way to at least begin to quantify your students' time. Because what we're going to do with this, we're going to design their time to support the things they want to accomplish, right? That way we can kind of, have that reality conversation. Well, you're wanting to do this goal to accomplish that goal, but you are not actually working towards it, right? So that is just accountability. All right. Now, I've worked with several families in person because I first taught this in a school where I work full time. And so, what some families have done is they'll use a hybrid schedule that has a to do list, priorities, and a place for notes. But what I think is lacking in this particular calendar is that it starts at 8 a.m. and it ends at 6 p.m. The problem with that is it doesn't allow your student to be uh, a completist, right? To um, thoroughly account for their time, right? Because most of your students are probably staying awake beyond 6 p.m. They're probably doing tutoring, dinner, um, homework, chores, whatever it is, right? Babysitting, walking the dog at night. Um, okay. So what you want to do is you want to go to calendarpedia.com and perhaps look for a list like that and combine it with the this schedule here. So you'll have two calendars, two calendars. This one here, which are eventually going to turn into a autopilot schedule, a block schedule where your student knows when and when they study, when they do all these other activities. And then, of course, look for something in here that is more of a prioritizer that probably has more space than what I showed you in that other example that goes 8 to 6. All right. So during the next session, we will discuss the discipline layer, 3 keystone habits that will support you in your daily life. This layer is foundational and important for holding your life together in service of your values. This layer will reduce burnout and ensure that if everything else changes or even fails in your life, you can still carry on sustainably. Step 2, complete your blank planner to account for each 15-minute increment of your life. I would say every hour, because really that planner that I showed you does not have 15-minute increments. However, when I like to track my time, I find that the 15-minute increment really works nicely because you're not going to do the same thing for every hour of the day, right? There are hours in the day where for 15 minutes, you're watching TV. For the other 15 minutes, you're walking the dog. Another 15 minutes, you're taking a nap. And another 15 minutes, maybe you're drawing. So for me, that's a power hour because I actually have power hours. We can begin to see what is working and what needs an adjustment. Okay. And then during that next session, which, as I mentioned before, I don't think I mentioned the day. Each Saturday, 4:30 Pacific and 7:30 Eastern, we have this session. We'll establish the 3 keystone habits. We'll write them in your planner, and you'll decide what the next steps are, such as coaching or self-reflection, because your student needs support in this. Is that going to be you, the parent? Is that going to be me? Is it going to be their teacher? Who's it going to be? I would suggest you do get a mentor or you do get a coach or someone to help your student to become accountable. So talk to me about that and see how that can work out for you. Okay. So thanks so much. And again, I think I should have created a slide to remind you just to watch that video. It is here earlier. And there are the directions for you. So I want to thank you for your time. And by the way, if your student is having trouble with the writing, with ideas, or the technique of writing itself, there are only 2 reasons why students don't write. Number one, they don't have the ideas. I don't know what to write about. I don't know, right? You always hear that from students. IDK, I don't know. Aren't you tired of hearing that? Or they don't know how to write it. They don't know how to begin that essay, that introduction, that main body paragraph, whatever it is. They don't know how to start. And so we want to help them with that. And I'm very effective at that. I've been teaching for about 15 years and tutoring for about 20 years. And so I love working with students and I love what I do. I'm not just a teacher, I'm a doer. So I've got many things published academically, creatively, and entertainment and on the radio. And so I practice what I preach. And I struggle with the same kinds of things that other people struggle with in their writing. All right. And I did in my time management as well. I suffered, I mean, I struggled in my time management for a long time. But with these tangible, research-based and evidence-based techniques and steps, you can actually gain control over your life. All right. So I will see you in a great by and by. And if you do want to contact me, by the way, I will put it here in the chat so you can see it. So my email is Kevin Hamilton, SHAH, Shaw at tutoring, dash tutoring at yahoo.com. You can also contact me via cell. And there's a Facebook group as well. So many of you are on that Facebook group. So what I'm going to do, oh, that was nice. Let me send that up. Okay. Okay, I'm going to find you the Facebook page. So give me a second. Okay, we're back. And if you look in the chat, you have all my contact information. Again, if you go to facebook.com/groups/high school writing tutoring for students, I know it's a mouthful, you will find me there. And I'm going to show you also. Okay, screen sharing. We'll stop sharing for a second and we'll share our tabs here. There's the tutoring group there, and there's an academic guide which has my secret 3 pillars. So feel free to ask for it. And it is here. So let's put this in the chat as well. You can also reach out to me and just ask me to send you the link. I'll be happy to do that. So that in the chat as well. Okay. Actually, that is my calendar that you saw there. So I'm going to pause this one more time. And there is my writing guide. So go to tinyurl.com/3bbtxrxc. And what you'll get is an 11-page guide that goes through the 3 pillars. It goes through the learning trifecta, which is important because that's the secret to how your student can actually become not just a good writer, a great writer, especially in the high school space. That's an important place for them. All right. Take care, and I'll see you in the next session.